Hey, little guy, you hungry? You hungry, little nibbler? Okay, here you go, buddy. Hey, stop it! I'm trying to feed you. How about you quit clowning around? Intro. Hey guys, how's it going? Tyler from Tyler's Cichlid Collection. So, I want to talk about, is it worth selling fish for profit? Okay, so this is a really touchy subject, and dude, there's a lot to account for. So, it depends on the kind of fish that you're selling. That's a big one. Like for me, I sold flower horns and I did really good. But I didn't just do really good just cause. No, absolutely not. Okay, I took into consideration the demographic of the area that I'm at. Did I have, the resources? Was it worth the investment? You gotta know your return of investment possibilities. There's a lot of math that goes into it, and that's a lot of stuff that you guys need to account for. And it can do good, or it can flop. And if it flops, that's a bad time altogether. Would I recommend it for people who have been in the hobby for 1 to 2 years? No. I definitely would not recommend it for beginners. This is something that you have to know that you're good at. Like you have proven results of you being able to breed and being able to output what your customers want and need. And then what if the fish dies? I mean, do you send him another? Do you refund it? Stuff like that. And another thing to consider is selling online or just selling straight out of your house without doing the online thing because you're too scared to ship. You're not going to make any money that way. If you don't sell online, I'm sorry, you will not make money. It's just how it is. I've gotten lucky. I've probably, out of all the sales that I've done selling freshwater fish offline, you post it up on Craigslist, people usually respond. You can make money that way, but online's honestly your best bet. Then another thing you have to consider is something that I mentioned earlier, demographic. So, this is where you need to have like a sort of business aspect into how you're going to sell your fish and who to sell your fish to. Demographic's a really big thing. Now, I came from the Portland, Oregon area, which has a really high population of Asian culturates. And those guys, and it's not a race thing or anything, it's a statistics thing. I had more people who were Asian buy from me because of the flower horns, the lure, and all that stuff. And that's not being racist in any way whatsoever. That's just a statistic that I've noticed. But don't get me wrong, I've had my fair share of plenty of other cultures coming and buying from me. And I made a lot of money that way. But most of the time, I was selling online. And I had a way bigger demographic there. But in the Northwest, that's a good place to be selling flower horns if that's your sort of thing. Flower horns, koi, that's a real big area for ornamental fish of that nature. And then, so like out here in Texas, a big thing is saltwater. Dude, you talk to somebody about freshwater fish out here, they're going to give you crap for having a saltwater tank or having a freshwater tank. And that's just the people out here. So you gotta learn your area. You gotta go to your local fish stores. What do they sell more of? And that's another thing to consider is competition. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to be number one in selling fish, but if you don't know your competition, you're not going to sell very well. Like I had a bunch of fish stores out in the Portland area who had, I think that's another reason why I did good, because they didn't have as much flower horns or hybrid fish as I did, And because that niche was open to the public, that's where I made good money. Okay, so, learn what they're selling and try and sell what they don't have. That's one key to success. Another thing is people that they'll sell stuff in their stores, and if you want to make a fast sale, you got to sell it slightly cheaper than what the stores do. Okay, like I had a friend who bred Oscars. Big surprise. I mean, those things, they're not exactly the most expensive fish, but fish stores around our area, they were selling them for like, no kidding, like a medium-sized Oscar was $30, and medium being 2 to 4 inches. That's tiny, you know what I mean? And they're selling it for that much, and my friend, he's selling them for $10 a piece. Okay, and they look pretty. They look 100 times better, and they're definitely taking care of 100 times better than any big pet store. Like ones that end in co or art. So learn your stores around your area. That's a big key to selling your fish. Store versus selling out of your house. Okay, I don't care who you are. If you're breeding fish, sell out of your house. Don't sell out of your store. Don't sell out of a store. It's not worth investing in a store because you're not going to make that profit back. I mean, I don't know. I guess I can't really say that because I haven't ran a store myself. But I just imagine with the upkeep of just the store alone, I don't think you're going to make the money to keep that store afloat, if you get what I mean. Because it was easy for me to breed flowerhorn, and I had that stuff locked in. I mean, I almost did it for the most I think I spent on breeding my flowerhorns was the initial setup of all the tanks and aquariums that I had, the 75 gallons with the canister filters. I probably spent, I don't know, maybe $800 max on 5 tanks, with all the equipment and stuff. And I made that money back really quick with flowerhorns because I knew how to sell, I knew where to sell, I knew who wanted it. And, like I've sold to people in Seattle, Washington, Tacoma, Portland, obviously, Salem, big areas like that. They were interested in that stuff, but that's how far I was able to market my stuff. And marketing's another big thing. I'm not saying you should go on Facebook and create, a marketing page or something, but I mean, the best way to market, in my opinion, is just use Craigslist. I mean, Craigslist, you're going to make money on there pretty quick. People are always interested. They were interested in the Northwest for flowerhorns, man. I keep saying that, but it's true. So, and then another thing, so account for your expenses. I'm totally getting off track here. So you got to account for your expenses. So $800 set up, something like that. The food, I mean, that was pretty cheap. Because eventually I started making my own flowerhorn food. I still use Sumo. I use Sumo Red for my special guys that I really, really, really cared about, But the frying stuff, made my own food. I used brine shrimp. That was a big feeder for them. And they all grew up fine. They all colored really well. But I paid more attention to the ones that had a lot more potential than everybody else, and I fed them good stuff. And that's where I made majority of my money. Like flowerhorns with decent sized KOKs, I sold those guys for like $40. The guys with the monster KOKs, I sold them. I think the one that it was the one that I had the longest from the fry. The longest. I remember selling him to a guy and I made like $130, but if it were to sell in store somewhere, somebody's going to be selling it for some stupid price like $250, $300, stupid stuff like that. But all in all, those costs, I mean, I definitely made my money back. But again, guys, you got to pay attention to your market around your area. That's the best way you're going to be selling. And then the water, I lived on well water. So I didn't have to worry about a water bill. and I was able to just keep using that water. And that water, I got super lucky, and it was like perfect for them. Every time the parameters were always on point, and they loved it and they thrived. So I got lucky there. Now using house water, city water, that's a lot of dechlorinator. That's a lot of all that nasty chemicals you got to put in the water, which I don't agree with, But like I said, I got lucky. It might be a different story for you, but you really got to account for the pros and cons and if it's worth it to even do business with fish. So, let's see, anything else? Never pay for marketing. That's a big one, because if you do the Facebook marketing thing, they do try and charge you, and they'll nickel and dime the hell out of you. So don't go doing that. Never pay for your marketing. Just set up a thing on Craigslist and call it good. And yeah, just make sure you're able to upkeep, and if you progress with your fish selling and stuff like that, and it's something that you enjoy doing, and if you see a pretty common flow of sales, then stick with it. It's totally under your discretion, but I see a lot of people get into this and they give up halfway after everything's said and done. They give up halfway to the point of where they could actually do good, and they don't realize it, but it's just the consistency, okay? A thing that I learned from like my business classes that I take in college is that the service isn't what sells. The product, not what sells. It's the person behind the madness is what sells. So your fish don't sell. You sell your fish. You. It always comes back to the person that's selling. And you need to be consistent, okay? And you gotta believe in what you're doing, and you can't half-ass any of it, okay? You gotta be fully committed to any sort of business, okay? Now, this applies to more than just fish at that rate, but since we're talking about it, you got to apply yourself, like really apply yourself. Don't watch this video and then get super hyped up and be like, oh, I'm gonna sell fish, and then go into it and you don't got a plan, you don't got nothing. No, you got to commit. Have a plan, set up your marketing, make sure you have your finances, in check. Like people who invest in stocks and stuff like that, they use money they don't care about losing. And that's how you got to treat this. So use money you don't care about losing. Use money that's not going to affect your life. It's not going to affect anyone else's life. Okay? This is just spare change that you have laying around, or you have fish that just keeps breeding and it can't, that where you're not spending money and they're just doing it anyways. That's why I like fish. That's why I like breeding fish, because they create your product for you, and then you just apply yourself and sell it, and it just keeps going. And then you'll have that one pair that you just love so much. It's like the video that Joey did. Shout out to DIY King. I highly doubt he's going to watch this, and rest in peace for his arowana buddy. I feel truly sorry for him, and he was an amazing fish. But he did a video about how he sold discus, okay? And that's kind of how you have to treat it. You got to put your expenses in the right spot, and then you got to know who to sell, how to sell, and you got to apply yourself and make sure it's worth it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not huge into DIY, and I never went that far for the tanks as far as setting them up and then putting in a white background and all that crazy stuff. You don't need to do that, dude. Just go to Petco, buy a bunch of tanks, set it up in your garage, set it up in your basement, and just let the magic happen, okay? And apply yourself, check your parameters, make sure they're feeding on time. If there's a problem fish, you take them out and you quarantine. And, oh God, I can't preach that enough. Please quarantine your fish if there's a problem, okay? Don't sell fish that you're breeding if one has a problem in that tank, okay? Take out the trouble child and then also put that tank in check. Don't sell from that tank, because that's the last thing you want, is to sell a customer that has something with ick or has some sort of, dropsy, something off about it. Okay, don't. If one's a bully to others, separate it. Okay, so you got to pay attention to every single detail into when it comes to selling fish. Okay, now I haven't done saltwater breeding, and I would like to, but I'd assume it's a lot harder. See, that's where the money's going to be. So where I'm at, I'm picking up that the demographics saltwater, and people really want saltwater. So, I mean, there might be a future in me selling saltwater fish out here, but with how much money goes into saltwater, I don't know if it's totally worth it. But freshwater, I know you will make, there's a lot less risk with freshwater. Okay? I mean, you can still crash tanks, you can still burn them out, a heater goes off. Well, I hope you have another tank and, that can feed the demand for the supply. So, just some things to think about, guys. And sorry I haven't been uploading a lot lately. College has been, college has been such a drag out here, man. There's a bunch of new people moving in. We had to update some stuff, get our cars licensed and all that. But everything's going good on this side. I'm going to start uploading a little more. I do have some intentions of getting a new tank for these guys. I'm gonna save up a little bit, and I'm gonna wait to do it. I really can't impulse buy right now. Trust me, I wish I could, but I can't. And then, so, promises from the last video that I sent out a while back about interviewing the store owner and stuff like that. So he said that he's not going to have time, sadly, and that really makes me sad, and I hope that you guys aren't going to give me fluff over it. I already feel bad enough. But I mean, the guy has to run a business, and I completely understand that, coming from a business major like myself. Sad to say, I really wish I could have done the interview. He has such an amazing shop, but I'm not going to put his shop out on blast for doing that to me, because I understand, okay? And I want you guys to understand too. But anyways, so this has been Tyler's Cichlid Collection. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Alright, take it easy, guys.